Hello everybody and welcome to the Daily Squish. Today we are making a paper croissant squishy, so if you want to see how to make it then just keep on watching. So as with all paper squishies, you are going to need some paper. The paper that I am using is just a regular A4 printer paper in a white shade. What you're going to need to do here is draw out the outline of your croissant, making this a little bit thicker, a little bit fatter than you want your finished piece to be. I went with this kind of yellowy coloured pen to begin with to create my outline. Then I went back in with various brown and light brown kind of shades, just drawing a line motion down the kind of croissant's body to create the layers of the pastry. As you can see, I'm building these up as I go along. I'm adding different colours in, I'm adding more shading and just really going to town with the croissant texture. With the darker brown, I went in and added some little folds where the pastry would naturally fold, and I just created some shading around that, added in some lighter and darker shades of brown just as I went along. I also added some darker shades along the outside, almost to give it a more 3D like effect, as a 3D croissant would obviously be darker towards the outline. I then went back in and just went all the way over those kind of folds in the pastry, like I said, added on some extra little flaky details, and once I was happy with that, I then went back in with a black biro pen and drew the outline of some eyes because I wanted my croissant to have a little face. So I drew the outline of the eyes as well as the mouth with a biro just to get that nice and neat. Then went back in and filled the eyes with a paint marker so that they were a nice solid black colour sitting on top of the croissant detailing. Once I was happy with the eyes and the mouth, I then went back in with a pink paint pen to add on some blush either side of the eyes. I then left that to dry and then cut out the paper croissant just around the outside, making sure to cut through both of the layers of the folded piece of paper so that I was then left with two shapes of the croissant. On the back side of the back piece, I then did the exact same that I did on the front, just without putting the face on, and then I was left with the back piece and the front piece of my croissant. So in order to turn this into a paper squishy, I needed to tape the two pieces together so that I was able to stuff this up. So taking some clear packing tape, I just laid one piece of tape along one of the edges, and then with my scissors I created these little kind of tabs which I was then able to fold around to the back side and lay them down flat, one on top of each other. So just little snips around about 1 to 2 centimeters in size, folding one by one, just one after another, making sure that they laid really nice and flat on the other side. When it came to taping up the rest of the croissant, what I did here, because the two pieces were holding together in place, I then just took my tape and ended up putting it in the same direction that the croissant folds and pastry lines and everything like that would actually fall. This helps blend it better into the croissant, and I did this all the way around so that the whole entire thing was taped up apart from the very last kind of inch. What I did here was then I took some toy stuffing and I actually just added a little bit of that in at a time, stuffing my paper squishy. I used a wooden dowel so that I was able to get it into the far end of the shape, and bit by bit I just stuffed out the whole entire croissant until I was happy with the kind of density of it. Then to keep all of that inside, I just took another piece of clear tape, laid that over the end edge, and then pinching it together with my index finger and my thumb, I was then able to create a nice neat finish here by cutting little tabs again and folding them over one by one, but still keeping that pressure on. I then covered the back of the croissant in just plain tape so that the whole thing was covered front and back, and all of the paper was then protected. Once I had done that, my paper squishy was then complete and ready for squishing, and as you can see, it is gorgeous. I absolutely love how it turned out. I think it's so cute. I love the face on there, I love the brush, I love the texture of the whole thing including the back, and yeah, I'm really happy with it. So thank you so much for tuning in today and watching the video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I shall see you very soon for another one. Bye.